Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. My name is Joshua Grella, Public Affairs with the Saskatoon Police Service. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. With me today, I have Deputy Chief of Operations Randy Huisman, that is Randy Huisman. In a moment, I'll ask Chief Huisman forward to provide an overview of the investigation that led to locating 48-year-old Don Walker and 7-year-old Vincent Jansen. Following the deputy's remarks will be an opportunity for questions from members of the media. We ask members of the media with a question to raise their hand and wait to be called on prior to proceeding. When called on, please state your name and the media organization that you are with. I'll now invite Deputy Chief Huisman forward.
Thanks, Josh, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to once again thank the general public, the RCMP, the FSIN, Canadian Border Services Agency, Canadian Air Transport Security Authority, and the Canadian Centre for Child Protection in their assistance on this wide-reaching, multifaceted investigation that led us to locate Dawn Walker and her 7-year-old son, Vincent Jansen, safe and well in the state of Oregon in the United States. My thank yous also extend across the border to our U.S. partners, the United States Department of Homeland Security, the Oregon City Police Department, the Billings Police Department, and the West Lynn Police Department. Although the missing person investigation is winding down, the criminal investigation is in its early stages. Dawn Walker is currently in custody in the United States and is appearing in U.S. court today, facing 2 charges in relation to this investigation. The first one is Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1028A, brackets 1, provides that it's a felony offense for a person during and in relation to any felony violation enumerated in subsection C, to wit, false statements in the use of a passport to knowingly possess or use, without lawful authority, a means of identification of another person. The second U.S. charge is Title 18 U.S. Code 1028 brackets 6, provides that it's a misdemeanor offense for a person to possess an identification document which is stolen or produced without lawful authority, knowing that such document was stolen or produced without such authority. Our investigators have been advised by the U.S. authorities that they are confident that Dawn Walker will be further detained in the United States for the short term. Dawn Walker is also facing charges in Canada. The following offenses: parental abduction in contravention of a custody order and public mischief. As the criminal investigation progresses, there may be further charges that Ms. Walker will face as a result. The Saskatoon Police Service is currently working with Provincial Crown Prosecutor's Office to arrange her appearance in Saskatoon. With respect to Dawn's son Vincent, his legal guardian attended to Oregon on Friday, August the 5th, and returned safely with him on August the 7th of 2022. This investigation was multifaceted, with the missing person investigation starting on the evening of July 24th, 22. The missing person investigation with facets of both on the maternal and the paternal sides, the search of the river and area, and the investigation leading us into the United States. There are potential further charges as well. And if there's any questions, I can take them now.
Hi, I'm Nancy Manea, CC News. Do police suspect Dawn of faking her disappearance?
I don't have any confirmation on any potential motives at this point.
What is the cost of the search for Dawn and her son, and is it possible that Dawn will have to pay for any of it?
The cause for the search?
Cost.
The cost. We don't have a tally to the cost, but I can tell you it'll be significant.
And is it possible that she will have to pay for any of it?
That hasn't been determined. Yes.
Pat McCracken, CTV. I'm sure you can understand there's a lot of questions surrounding this disappearance and the motive. Is there anything else you can tell us as to evidence that you've gathered that may point us in the direction of why this has all happened?
All I can tell you is that we follow the evidence trail, and from the moment she was reported missing, we started with a missing person search, and then evidence led us to where we are today. I mean, evidence speaks for itself.
What was the main evidence trail that led you to Oregon? Was it border crossing, or was it the cell phone records, or was it bank statements?
Well, it's like I said, a very big, wide cast, multifaceted investigation. We obtain things such as cell phone records, banking records, history of their associations with people, family, all those things are taken into account. And when we start seeing anomalies, we start going in that direction.
So do police have, Nick Pierce from the Star Phoenix, do police have any understanding of how Dawn goes from Whitecap Park to Oregon? What steps did she take to travel that way?
That matter is still under investigation, and I would not be able to comment on that at this point.
Are you able to tell us if anyone helped her get across the border?
We are currently investigating whether anybody assisted her in regards to this as well.
So you said based on those U.S. charges, she would have used false identification to cross the border. That would have been how she crossed.
That's correct.
Do we know why Oregon?
I have no idea.
Were bank records and phone records, were those part of how police figured out she was in Oregon?
Well, what I can say is that when we're dealing with all of our partner agencies across the border as well as in Canada, we can determine the trail that she followed.
And Saskatoon Police figured out that she was in Oregon. It wasn't just Tim Keeling from Oregon to bring you guys there?
Nope, Saskatoon Police Service.
When everything first happened and Amber Alert was not issued, if one would have been at the time, would that have led to her finding her a lot quicker?
That's hard to say. I mean, she was missing for almost 2 days by the time she was reported missing. And an Amber Alert, it did not fit the criteria provincially or locally for an Amber Alert. One of the things that we struggled with in regards to not putting out an Amber Alert was one of the criteria is that person needs to be at imminent risk of serious bodily injury or death. And we didn't have that in this case.
So in hindsight, an Amber Alert still would not have been appropriate to issue?
If we're following the guidelines of the province and locally, it still wouldn't have met the parameters.
If Saskatoon Police were aware that she had gone to the U.S., why continue with the extensive river search?
The river search has been wound down. The criminal investigation has started up.
I know, but like, at what was there a point at which Saskatoon Police became aware that she was likely in the United States, and was that the point when the river search wound down, or did it?
Exactly. The minute that we were able to confirm that she was alive and had left the city of Saskatoon, that's when the river search was suspended.
Can you say when that was?
I don't have that information. I could get that for you.
Was there any indication that Oregon was the final destination, or any indication that she planned to go further?
Yeah, good question. We're wondering that ourselves at this point.
Maybe not up to you to decide, but in determining whether or not there's an Amber Alert called, should the criteria then be changed to include situations like this?
Well, they will always look at potentially changing Amber Alert, but one of the things, and it's hard to say that a case like this would change it, you got to understand that Amber Alerts are for serious incidents where we believe that that child is in, or mother is in immediate risk of imminent harm or death. We don't want to have it overused when it's not appropriate. So we take that very seriously as to about when or when we're not issuing an Amber Alert.
You said there's potential for Dawn to be charged with further criminal charges. Can you tell us potentially what those could
I don't know the exact answer to that question. I do know that investigators are looking at several different charges, and it would all be in relation to those false identity documents that were alluded to in the U.S. charges. How she was able to prepare those documents is about all I can say at this point.
Did she receive any help? Obviously, she left her truck at the park. Are there any other persons of interest?
We kind of addressed that question already. We're looking into the possibility of anybody or, more than one person that assisted her in this regard.
Tanner Chuby, Global News. Where exactly was she found? Was it someone's house? Was it a hotel?
She was found in a rental unit in Oregon City, Oregon.
Devin Reichmore with CJWW News. Just kind of following up with Libby's question, she used fake documentation to enter state, so she did cross out of border crossing. Was that into Montana?
She crossed into Montana in a border crossing south of in southern Alberta, south of Lethbridge.
And can you give us the time she did that at? Or?
I don't have that time.
Joel Willick, NBC Radio News. Heather Baird, the FSAN, spoke about a history of domestic violence for Don Walker. Does that play into your investigation or at all in this matter, or is that a separate thing?
I can say two things in regards to that. Number one, it may or may not play into this investigation. And number two is any potential or any previous allegations made by Don Walker were thoroughly investigated, and no charges resulted as a result of those investigations.
Is there any evidence that Don Walker had any other partners that she might have been concerned about aside from Vincent's dad, as alleged?
No, not to my knowledge. All right. There will be a media release coming out right after this media availability, which lists the charges and those sort of things. So thank you very much.